This summer, I've been to Emerald Isle, North Carolina. I've been to the Underground Trail in Grand Rapids, and I've been to the Merrill Trail in Rockford, Michigan. And all three times I've tried to film this video, and there's been some issue. Like, I didn't know how to work my mic, and it didn't pick up audio, or it got too hot to continue.
What do you mean 104 degrees Fahrenheit?
But here, I'm finally gonna finish the top 10 things I wish somebody told me when I first started mountain unicycling. So if you're thinking about getting into the sport, here are some things you should be aware of or you should expect before going on your first ride. Number one is people are going to stare or talk to you. Or worse yet, they're gonna compliment you. Now, I didn't unicycle for a long period of time in public because I was afraid of being called a show-off, but mountain unicycling was a good kind of easy transition because there's not a lot of people in the woods. But the people that you do encounter do think it's cool, which I usually respond with, I know it's not cool, but I like it. Which helps me to think about it that way because most people are only braggy about cool things, but who would want to be ostentatious about unicycling? I enjoy the sport because it suddenly makes the uneventful sections of trail really challenging. It's also really difficult to find comparable athletes, so there's not a lot of pressure to be up to snuff. You can set your own challenges and standards without needing to rank yourself. With this mindset, I'm less shy about talking about unicycling on the trail, which makes for better interactions with other trail users.
You know what, unicycle? Yeah. You're my best, man. Mad props. That's pretty sick.
Number two is I wish somebody would have said that going uphill is really grudging work. With no gears, handlebars, needing to balance, and small obstacles in your way, going uphill on a unicycle is just really tough. And I feel like nobody talks about how hard going uphill on a unicycle is. Maybe it's because it's incredibly obvious. However, if you hold the handle of your seat and really pull yourself into your saddle and really take advantage of that parallel crank position, it's not going to be as horrible as it could be. On your next uphill, really get into your saddle and really power through that parallel crank position to really get the most enjoyment, if you can call it that, out of going uphill on a unicycle. Speaking of hills, number three is just mountain unicycling is exhausting. On a fixed gear, one wheel apparatus, you're going on trails that are made for things that can coast half the time and then be geared down to make it everything easier the other half. You're not going to be putting anywhere near the number of miles you would on a bike on a unicycle with the same amount of effort. I sometimes look at loops that are like 2 miles long and seriously consider if I'm going to be able to spend 3 hours out on the trail. I tend to film and session things when I'm out on the trail, but either way, I really recommend taking high efficiency snacks like trail mix and as much water as your bag can take. The good news is on bidirectional trails, you're never really too far away from the trailhead because you can't really get too far on a unicycle, but either way, prepare with snacks and definitely water. Number four is free mounting is just going to be a nightmare, FYI. Because you're exhausted on uneven terrain and mounting by itself is kind of difficult, you're going to second and third guess your ability to mount like 10 minutes into your ride. Don't get discouraged if you need to find a tree or you fall 1,000 times trying to mount though. This is what happens when your legs turn to jello. Your coordination turns to jello with it. I would suggest really practicing your mounts when you're fresh so they're really dialed in for when you're on the trail. But if not, there's probably a tree somewhere in the woods that'll help you out. Number five is your foot placement. Now, in an ideal world, you would place like the sole of your foot like right over the pedal where it rotates, but that rarely happens. Because you're exhausted and a little less coordinated, your second foot is probably not going to land exactly where you want it. And moving your foot to try to adjust it is really difficult because you always have to keep pressure on the pedals while you're riding to stay balanced. When you're biking, you don't have to pedal all the time and you can strategically unweight each foot while you're coasting so you could get your foot exactly where you want it on the pedals, but that's not the case with unicycling. A big issue with this, aside from being uncomfortable, is if your foot lands too far forward and too much on the inside of the pedal. On the upstroke, your toe is vulnerable to being caught in the crank, and not only does that jam your toe, you're just going to fall off because you can't pedal anymore. And the margin of error between the sweet spot and the getting your toe crushed spot is like half an inch. It'd be nice if somebody told me that not only your foot being awkwardly placed is a thing, but readjusting your foot is also super frustrating. I don't really have a tip for it, but just know that it happens and I feel you that it's a nightmare. Number 6 is there's no point of no return on a unicycle, which sounds like a good thing. But on bikes, when you're coming up to a feature like a jump or a rock roll, you just need to be brave enough and commit until a certain point where you're perceiving that it's safer to just do nothing and continue through the feature so you'll be safer on the other side. Think about hitting a drop on a bike. All you have to do is pick up enough speed so you can clear like a gap or something. So once you have enough speed, just do nothing and let your bike take you for a ride. But you can't let it ride on a unicycle. There's no point of no return. You always have to be doing something. You always have to be either pedaling or balancing or twisting your hips in some way, shape, or form. You can't just let the unicycle take you for a ride because it'll throw you off. So not only do you have to be brave up until that point of no return on a bike, on a unicycle, you have to be brave the entire feature. And you have to commit to every action on that feature. Keep in mind, I'm not trying to say it takes no action to do certain features on a bike. It takes action, but it takes much less action because you're not pedaling and you're not actively balancing as much as you would be if you were on a unicycle. This is probably why people do like the gnarlier features on bikes, but we're not hitting 25-foot drops on unicycles.
Nice.
Along those same lines, number 7 is there's no setup time on unicycles. When you're about to go over an obstacle on a bike or on a unicycle, you probably could benefit from a few moments prior to hitting the feature for you to like mentally prepare or shift your weight or adjust your footing in some way, shape, or form. Bikers usually stop pedaling and coast up to a jump for this reason, to prepare. No one pedals all the way up to a jump on a bike, but you have to on a unicycle. Because you're always balancing and always pedaling to go forward, you never have a free moment to do nothing before a feature. So everything is much more abrupt and instinctual. It feels like you don't have time to adequately prepare, but you do get used to it. So just know that you're gonna have to make a lot of decisions really quickly while doing other stuff when you're mountain unicycling. Number 8 is pretty embarrassing, but you're probably just gonna get thrown off by small roots and small rocks that you wouldn't have expected. You can probably get over big obstacles and roots with a small jump or hard pedal push. But if you're in the wrong crank position, you might get tripped up and unexpectedly thrown from your seat from something that would have otherwise been a breeze to roll through. When you're unicycling, you really have to adjust for every deviation in the terrain, and if you didn't plan for it, you're probably going to pay for it. And it's not a sign you're a bad rider. It's just a sign that you need to pay more attention to the trail. Lowering your seat slightly if you know you're going to be on rough terrain will help you be a little bit more athletic and use your legs as shock absorbers because you can't really account for everything on the trail. So this will help you out and give you a little bit of a buffer. But still expect to get thrown off unexpectedly once or twice. It's just part of the game. Speaking of getting thrown off, number 9 is you're going to get beat up. Compared to a bike where on any given ride you may never fall off, you're probably going to fall off at least once per ride on a unicycle, either from random routes that you didn't plan for or on a feature that you're trying over and over again. But expect to be covered in dirt and sweat when you're done. But also, don't mistake this for unicycling to be dangerous or risky. You may fall a lot, but you're never going to be going so fast that you're going to be crashing into a tree and sustaining major injuries like you may on a bike. A lot of little crashes frequently might be better than one big one that sends you to the ER. But that's for really you to decide. Lastly, number 10, I wish somebody just told me to own the hobby. I really enjoy the aspects of mountain unicycling, even the tough ones, like going uphill. There's not too many activities that combine novelty, riding on one wheel, with skill, adapting to unfamiliar trails, with community, and something I call the what the hell factor. The onlooker might be impressed, but also confused as to why this is even happening. They might be interested, but afraid that you're going to fall, and obviously confused. Either way, the novelty and the what the hell factor makes you approachable, and that's what makes it fun. It's cool to be passionate about things that are uncool sometimes, not because they're uncool, but because you think they're cool. And I wish somebody just told me that when I started. Thank you for watching this video to the end. I hope these insights gave some people that are just starting out in the sport some perspective. And if you have some helpful insights to people that are just starting out or people that have been doing it for a while, let me know in the comments below. And consider subscribing. Eventually, I'll be able to get out to a trail and film where something doesn't go wrong. Knock on wood for me. Thank you all and good luck.